I need some traction.
So I'm the VP of Product at Calendly. It means that I lead product design, content design and strategy, user assistance, all of it. My career has been a little varied, but centered around product management. I used to work at Microsoft as a Windows PM, so every time you open a Windows laptop, there's a little bit of my soul trapped in there somewhere, right? Right. No, seriously, I was a Windows PM and I went on to services and a lot of things. I used to work for Bridgewater for a while when I had this itch and left Microsoft, and I worked for Atlassian. Pradima, who was just up here, is a colleague of mine. And right now I work for Calendly, as you know. I've been an entrepreneur, started Intermingle, which I sold. And I also am an investor and a startup advisor, a couple of boards. And I say all this so that you know that I'm credible. You know, someone is just randomly up here. Why is he talking to me? What does he even know? So, Calendly. Who has used Calendly before? Sorry, I can't say that here. All right. Who knows about Calendly, even if you haven't used it? Oh, that's inverted. That's not what I expected. Calendly is like an iceberg. Let me explain it so that we can talk about virality. The most visible part of what we do is to help you break out of the mental madness of scheduling time with people who are not in your organization. So who's ever had to schedule time with someone and done it over email and text and gotten frustrated by that? Raise a show of hands. It is absolutely insane, all right? And we know that 20% of the time, the meeting isn't even consummated, right? You go back and forth, it takes the other guy a day, it takes you another day to check your calendar, and before you know it, you've lost interest because, man, who has time for all of that? It's really exasperating. So what we do with Calendly is that when you sign up for Calendly, we connect to your calendar, whether it's a Gmail account, calendar account, or Office 365 calendar account, doesn't matter what it is. And then we give you a lot of fine-grained control so that you can offer your availability to people outside your organization. Now, this is important. Inside your organization, you generally have people's free busy, so you can schedule them, except, of course, for the small use case where there are 4 or 5 people and you can't find time. But I digress. That's not the important part. So we give you a simple link that externalizes your availability, and people can book your time. It shows up on your calendar. It shows up on their calendar. No muss, no fuss. But the reason that I say that it's an iceberg is that we save you that time, right? For you, it's probably like an hour a month or something like that. But if you work for a sales team or a marketing team, people who essentially prospect for customers, people who tend to customers, we save you hours and hours of time. And that's where we have a lot of product market fit. In fact, for sales and marketing teams, it's the backbone of a modern sales stack, because we have all these powerful integrations. We'll integrate with Salesforce, HubSpot, and all the tools that you use to orchestrate. And finally, we build workflows to automate for teams. So if you have a large team, 20-person team, 100-person team, we'll help you onboard them. We'll give you, like advanced group scheduling algorithms like round robin and so on and so forth, templates so that you can get a team started very quickly. These are all parts of Calendly. Long story short, we're working to make the life cycle of meetings better for people in the world, individuals or teams. Now, let's talk about traction because we're a traction conference. Calendly is an incredibly viral company, and here's our traction story. In 2014, late 2013, early 2014, we launched clearly with 0 customers. By 2015, we had about 10K customers, and it was all free, and we converted it into a paid product. By 2017, we had booked I can't get into the exact specific, but tens of millions of meetings for our customers. And a lot of them were paid customers. Very healthy conversion rate. By 2018, all that cumulative work from 2017, we doubled, right? And in 2019, we are on track to double everything that's happened from 2018 back. So that's a lot of traction, and that's a lot of virality. So let's get to some definition. Let me do a quick time check. Where am I? There we go. I think I got plenty of time. Virality, what is virality? So a lot of people think, when they think of virality, they think about clever hacks. But let me break it down in a way I think everyone will conceptualize this. Virality is essentially customer-assisted marketing, right? It's when its real purpose is to drive down your customer acquisition costs. Now, why is this important? Well, because build risk is so easy these days. Like, it takes a lot less and less to build valuable software today than it did 10 years ago, than it did 15 years ago. So that's not usually your problem. You can figure out how to build stuff. The problem is finding an audience for your product. It's breaking through the noise. So distribution risk is the highest risk. So if you have good customer acquisition costs, which is very low, which Virality provides, then you have a lot of options. Now, given all of this base definition, by the way, does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, good. A little grunt. That's awesome. It's important to start with that broad base because people think it's clever hacks. It's not clever hacks. It's really not. Does everyone remember Hotmail? Okay, Hotmail is the canonical example when people think about virality. Think about, that little thing at the bottom that says get an account when you send a personal email in Hotmail. Oh, I guess I'm dating myself by talking about that. But that's not what virality is about. It's important, it's interesting, but that's not what it's about. Now, let's give a couple of examples of why that's not what it's about. The original iPhone was super viral, right? Does everyone agree? Can we all agree? Yeah? Who remembers the original iPhone? Because I don't feel like dating myself. Okay. All right, good. Okay, I feel better. It was very viral, but there was no clever hack, right? It was just a revolutionary product from a revolutionary brand. And they kept at it, and it's still a viral product today. It's crazy when people line up for iPhone XS or whatever that is. It's kind of nuts. Now, let's contrast that with another company that tried to be viral in the phone space. Does anyone remember OnePlus? Does anyone have a OnePlus Android phone? Yeah, a few people. If you remember the OnePlus one, the first one, it was a super FOMO campaign. They had tickets, and you couldn't get into it. And their tagline was never settle. They tried to create a clever hack for virality. Now, OnePlus is still a company, a valuable company today, but it's just not viral. It is not, right? They didn't redefine the category in any fundamental way. A second example is Uber, right? Who remembers the first time they learned about Uber? Yeah? I learned about it a year after it launched, and I was completely shocked by this product. Now, I know this is a sore spot for people from Vancouver because you don't have Uber. But it's coming, don't worry. I'm going to be praying for you guys. So Uber was really viral. It was mad viral. And even though there was no real mechanism for hacks or anything like that, it was just that good. They took an underserved good, which is utilization of your car and your time, and they created a market for it. So anyway, returning to Hotmail, the reason Hotmail is not a clever hack, because sometimes we create all these urban myths, is that Hotmail was a revolutionary product. If you remember 1999 and email, you had to do dial-up, right? Get to your ISP, download a pub client from Netscape or Microsoft. Remember to check the box that says, leave the post office, leave the email on the server, and then you got your email in a client, right? That's it. That was bonkers. And all Hotmail did was they're like, dial up to the ISP, go to this website, and here's your email. That was a super valuable product before they got to virality. So what's my point? My point is the root of virality, really, is a great product and attractive category. Okay? Now, you're like, holy shit, this is so generic. Okay. I can read minds, I tell you, man. So let's double click on that. It's a great product that redefines a category. Now, I could say it's a great product that defines a new category, but I'm not going to say that because I think saying that gives people a lot of pain, right? Defining a category is a huge risk. It's a timing problem. It's a capital problem. It's a patience problem. You can do it, but you better have a lot of conviction and a lot of insight into where the world is going. But I will say that you will get a lot of success by just redefining the category, right? Yeah. And the way you do that is you take an underworked workflow, right? Something that people struggle with perennially, and applies to a nice chunk of information workers if you're in B2B SaaS, but whatever your thing is, and you turn it on its head. You turn it on its head. You have to be insightful about it. Now let's talk a little bit about Calendly. Calendly wasn't the first scheduling tool. It just was not. But the tools that existed before us were mostly business tools. They were conceived as tools for salespeople, just a niche, right? What we understood was what I just did at the top of this talk, when everyone raised their hand. We conceived it as a tool for regular people, information workers. We made it super simple so it could apply to them, right? We did not ignore the businesses, but we knew that we could expand what it meant. The second thing we did was that we thought about the anonymous user who's coming to book time with you, right? A lot of people didn't give a lot of attention to that, but our booking page is way more used than the stuff you set up to create your Calendly link. So we wanted to create a respectful user experience for those people. So it's clean, it's beautiful, with a few clicks, they book time with you, they can see your availability, and it's all over. So that's how we tried to redefine the market. We started broad, but we had served all the use cases, just like Dan defined, a lot of people had done, and we had a product that redefined the market. Now, there are tons and hundreds of product decisions beneath that, but that was one of the most important things we did. Now, so I'm just going to do a thing here, because I like audience participation. Can everyone just say, a great product that redefines a category? Come on. A great product that redefines a category. That is the root of virality, okay? We'll get to clever hacks, but this is the root, okay? It's important to remember. Now, I'm not here to judge you about whether your product redefines a category or not, so I'm going to talk about other things that help with virality. The first thing is try to build a product that is social or is for teams, okay? Now let's define a few things. Social means a product that people can use to keep in touch with each other in whatever setting. And a tool for teams is a tool that helps a team achieve a goal together, right? If you can build, and you can make any tool for teams and a tool social, and we'll get to that. Well, let's talk about Slack. Slack is both things. It's social, and it's a tool for teams. Now, you have to know that Slack isn't actually particularly viral across company, right? Inside your company, it's viral, right? You get 100 people, whatever it is. Well, it doesn't leap the barrier to company 2 and company 3. Well, here's how it does it, by word of mouth, right? 100 people in your company love the thing because they redefined the category, and 10 of them become like patient zeros in a pandemic, right? They go out to their friends, tell them about the thing, and before you know it, oh, by the way, 90 of them didn't do anything, just love the thing, and they're quiet. But 10 of them infect 10 other companies. Before you know it, 20 people in that one company, get Slack, and that's how it spreads. There is no clever hack, it's just really good. And it's a tool for team and tool for social people. Now, even pedestrian workflows can be turned social. Note-taking, for example, right, is a difference between Confluence and Evernote. So Pratama is right here. Confluence is a team tool, team note-taking tool, but Evernote really isn't, and we're trying to pivot to that. It was hard to do, and the virality difference between them is pretty large. Okay? Now, the second thing that you have to do, and a few people have already touched on this, is self-service. I think this is just imperative. You have to reduce the friction between people demanding your product and getting some satisfaction, some trial, something. It's kind of embarrassing how many products I go to and they're like, get a demo. It's ridiculous. I think we should just stop it as religion. Like, just don't do it. You should conceive of your product as 100% self-serve. Now, this is not religion, actually. If you think about it that way, when you do add-on sales, people sometimes need to talk to people to make a sale, right? What we found at Calendly was that the first 10 people would sign up, and they're thinking about getting the next 40 people on board. And they're like, we want to talk to somebody. So we do have a sales team to help them, and account management to help them, but your product should start off thinking and behaving as if it's going to be completely 100% self-serve. This is super important. Now, this is the clever hack section of my talk, right? When you do have the prerequisite of a really great product, you can build in-product growth. You can do the Hotmail thing. You can build onboarding that's really good, right? And you keep massaging it until you understand the metrics and it's converting. You should look at onboarding from a lot of products, but you need to design it for your product, your scenario. Don't just rip people off, right? Making sure it works for you. You can do things like invitation links. You can do things like, by the way, one of the most important things you can do, Pradima touched on as well, is take some power back from admins. When I got to Atlassian, an admin had to approve anything, the expansion of teams. I think what we've gotten into at this point is that a regular user, right, can just forward it on to another person and infect them, right? So take some power from admins, redefine what that is so that regular users can approve things that are not security problems or innocuous so that you can spread in an enterprise. Okay, so in product growth, now I'm not going to go deep into this. If you want to talk about this and you have questions at the end, I'm happy to talk about some of the other things here. One thing that we are experimenting with is customer-aware products, okay? We found through experimentation that when in product, a customer is confronted with special, with how the product adapts to them specifically, whether they're a power user or a casual user, whether they belong to a team or not, we found that people recommend the product more and it feels more magical to them. Now, this is an experimentation phase for us and we haven't cracked the code. So if you're working on this area, I'd love to talk to you after this. But I think customer-aware product is a really good vector for net promotion from customers. So second to the last is great support. If you're an established company, if people bother to call you for help because they're that invested, you better knock their socks off. I can't tell you how many times that we have gotten conversions and expansions just because people merely touched our great support. Here's a tweet I just pulled off the internet 2 days ago. This thing is fairly routine for the Calendly customer support team. But this is basically someone getting support on a Sunday afternoon because we cover that too, right? And sign up for a pro version and becoming a net promoter on Twitter. Great customer support is incredibly viral. Finally, I want to talk about network effects. Now, network effects trumps virality significantly. Network effects is when by doing nothing, your customer gains value by one other person joining and becoming a customer. This is incredible. I'll use an illustration because it feels like an abstract concept. Who uses Expensify here? Any Expensify users? Now, one of the things Expensify did recently, I don't know how broad it is that they have all these e-receipts. So when you buy something, there's a receipt already there. You don't have to clip a receipt, take a picture, and submit it, and so on and so forth. Depending on where the approval level for your company is, it just works. Now, that's network effect. If they hook that up for every vendor you ever talk to, you're never going to want to leave Expensify, which creates network effect. Very specifically, that's called a cross-site network effect, because there are two actors here, the users and the vendors. You can design network effects for your product. Every product can have network effects designed in, and I think it depends on the product. I just said something specific for Expensify, and if you sort of need brainstorming ideas, and if I have time, I can talk about how to design network effects for your product. Okay, I'm close to the end. There are a couple of things that I've been asked specifically to talk about, so I'll start with Q&A and asking myself those questions. The first one is, how do you focus on the core product and growth, or how do you focus on the core product and niche users or niche verticals and so on and so forth? Well, the answer is the core of your product deserves a lot of attention, right? You need to make sure you find product market fit. You need to make sure you're working on retention so that you're not a leaky bucket. So I think you start working on those things that are additional when you've solved that problem. So basically, as soon as you can work on those two things simultaneously, you should start working on them. The second question I've been asked to answer is, how do you tackle growth early on? Is there a growth team? Is it dispersed within the organization? And I think it's a really simple answer. Very early on, growth should be centralized because there's a lot of upside to optimize. Your product is not optimized. You probably have 2 years of growth hacking that you could do to just sand down the friction to use your product. So create a growth team, create metrics, create a leader, create a person. Now, as you take some of the upside away and you solve those problems, what you should probably do is to disperse growth into your entire organization, get a practice leader, right, who can figure out how to help people do growth, have the right metrics for each team so that they can do growth by themselves, and have an expert to refer to. All right, so if you are part of a B2B SaaS company that is sort of in the sales and marketing vertical, I'm interested in partnerships. And thank you very much.
I need some traction. You need some traction. Let's get some traction.